Good morning. This is Friday again. And once again, my message to all our alumni out there, happy Friday. So what we can talk about today? We were talking about a very particular issue right now, which is quite the buzz in terms of social media, in terms of the press, and everyone's talking about it. And it's been spoken about for a very, very long time. It's about, do foreigners steal local jobs? Now, lots of different views, lots of different camps about it. And I want to share my thoughts with you today. This message might be a bit long, so I hope you can bear with it. But now, what I believe is that there are three key areas here, three key questions we need to answer. Number one, are foreigners good or bad for Singapore? Okay. Now, and what I believe is it's a very multifaceted answer to that. Modern civilization is built on the back of migrant workers and also of immigrants. History has been dotted with fantastic examples of countries that have risen up, become hyperpowers, and then due to xenophobia, racism, even anti-Semitism, decline to the point of being irrelevant. There's a fantastic book which I love. It's called Day of Empire by Professor Amy Chua, who is a Yale professor. By the way, she was the one who wrote Hymn of the Tiger Mom. Okay, very good book as well. Anyway, Professor Amy Chua, she wrote in that book, she highlighted various examples of countries that have risen and due to intolerance have declined. She cited Rome, which grew to be one of the biggest empires in the world. And it declined because it became intolerant to non-Christians or to non-Romans. So, and also hitting more closely to home is China. You know, China was one of the greatest civilizations ever. China had the biggest treasure fleet under Admiral Zheng He in the 15th century. The fleets dwarfed Santa Maria and all the other boats that went, tiny little boats that made its way across the ocean to land in America, or so-called America, as Christopher Columbus was thought it was. But you know, how did a huge, major, technologically advanced country like China in the 15th century decline to the segment of China in the late 19th century? Well, it was all because of xenophobic approach and isolationism, and thinking that, no, we are so good, we don't need to deal with other people. So what we want to say is that, are foreigners good for or bad for the Singapore economy? There's no binary yes or no answer, okay? Because no answer is absolute. If you were to ask me, my personal stance is where we stand to it, on the balance, it is good, okay? What can a tiny nation of 3 million Singaporeans do? There's no critical mass, and we needed to expand. The big thing is that, I give you an example, like my brother, he's a doctor. I asked him once, if you were to cut out all the non-Singaporeans from your patient list, how many patients would you have left? He said, not many. A huge chunk of it are actually the factory workers and all these other people who are non-locals. The same thing for Career Agility International as well. If we were to cut out all the non-locals, we wouldn't be as successful as we are today, but B, it wouldn't be as fun either, to have diversity, and this chat group would not have the alternate views and the diversity of viewpoints and ideas as well. So if you ask me, on the balance, are foreigners good for the economy for Singapore? The answer is, on the balance, yes. Okay, and therefore I think we should not diswelcome them. Okay, we should continue to welcome them in. Now the second question is, do foreigners steal local jobs? Well, there are two types of jobs basically. The jobs that Singaporeans don't want. So if the jobs like cleaners and things like that, I think it's just not. I think it's just silly to be discussing about that, because why steal jobs that Singaporeans don't want? Now, how about jobs that Singaporeans want? So let me share with you my personal example. When I was in my previous company, I joined on the promise that I would be the next GM for Singapore. After 2.5 years, after going through all the interviews and all the rounds and all the required tests and everything, I didn't get it. Instead, it went to a Brit. And this Brit had his experience in Asia was largely limited to, hey, I was a tourist back in 2007. Okay, so ultimately, I didn't get the job, and it went to him. Now, the big question is, did a Brit steal my job? For that, I want to look at it as from the viewpoint and the benefit of looking back 2-3 years ago. How can I say that he stole my job? Because the job wasn't my job after all. It suggests a certain sense of entitlement. It's my job. I'm a Singaporean, so I deserve this job. No one owes you anything. Okay, if you have a job, or if the job offer is there on the table, or if there's a job opening, nobody owes you that job. You got to go. You got to fight for it, and therefore we should do away with the sense of entitlement. As in, I'm Singaporean, so you should hire me first. The second thing is question to ask is, was it fair? Well, of course not. It wasn't fair. He came through his connections. He came through his friends in high places. But you know what? It's fact of life. What can you do about it, right? Tell me what's fair in life. I also practice discrimination, to be honest with you. Where if I'm hiring somebody in the unlikely event that I do hire, and I'm faced with two candidates equal in almost every way, you know what? I would choose a better looking one. Seriously, not just male or female, but the one who's more pleasant, the one whom I think can appeal more to our clients. So, am I discriminatory towards good looking people? Well, the answer is yes, I am. And also, is that fair? Maybe not, because looks is something which you're either born with or you're not, unless you want to go for extensive plastic surgery, right? So until you are able to say that I rid myself of all my unconscious bias or even my conscious bias, okay, let's not talk about is it fair, is it not fair? It just is, okay? Which leads to the more important question, which is question 3. What can I do about it? What can I do about the market as it is, the unfair situation in the market? The biggest advice I've gotten from one of my mentors is, if you're unhappy, quit complaining, do something. Okay, quit complaining. Well, the upside to it is I didn't land the role, so I left the company and I started my own business. And that's how Career Agility International started. And you know what? Without that person coming on board and taking the job, I would not have had this success with the company. I would not have met all of you. And my life would not have been as enriched as it is today. Okay, so maybe I should send him a thank you note after all. But you know what? There's a bigger question about it. The what can you do question. Because right now we are faced with an even bigger risk. And the even bigger risk is that what this work from home exercise due to COVID-19 has shown us is that we don't really physically need to be present on the job anymore. If I can do my job from home, now why can't someone else do my job from Colombia or from Thailand or from Vietnam? So it's one thing to have to compete for jobs with Singaporean-based foreigners. It's another to have to compete for jobs with people who are not even in Singapore. And that is a harsh reality right now. Because someone else out there, if you're in customer service, someone else out there can do your job at a quarter the price somewhere. So why then should you worry about the local-based foreigners? Because that one, the government can control. This one, the real market, the real challenge is 90% of your challenge is going to be out there. Okay, so there's a set of things which you can do. Now, I'm not saying that there's no discrimination. As I said, there is discrimination, okay? If you see it, report it. Report it to MOM, register it. Even if you think nothing can be done about it, you want to leave a record that that company has practiced discrimination. You can leave it, give them a call, write a letter, complain, okay? Now, the other thing is that if you do see a company that's hiring unfairly, discriminatorily, don't join them because at the end of the day, it's a company that you don't want to be part of anyway. Because can you imagine you go there and then suddenly you're the only Singaporean staring in a field, in a sea of non-locals, you'll be very uncomfortable too, right? So you don't want to do that, don't join them. But number 2, more importantly, be sharper in all of them. When you are going for the interview, be sharper, outwit. Even if you're in a company right now and you see a disproportionate number of non-locals joining, well, be sharper, outwit them, outlast them, outplay them. Work on your specialty. You alumni know what I mean when I say what's your superpower, what's your advantage. It could be your local knowledge, it could be your understanding of local customs in Singapore and Asia, your relationships with your key suppliers, key clients, key vendors. What makes you special as compared to not just the foreigners, but also to the locals, because the market is getting more competitive. Okay, so start thinking about your positioning, start thinking about what can I do, and if there are gaps, what are the gaps I can use, I can study for, I can upgrade my skills and upskill in. Close those gaps. But remember, be sharper, outwit, outlast, outplay, just like Survivor, right? And of course, what we want to say is think about outside the box. Can you tap into other countries' markets? Ever since Zoom started, our business at Career Agility International has boomed, okay? Not because of the COVID-19 making more people retrenched, but because right now a lot of people are more open to having coaching by remote, by Zoom. So right now we are having clients from as far as Dubai, Japan, Europe, even as far as the US. Okay, so we're getting a lot of global traction here, and we're seeing a huge market in that space. Suddenly now people want to talk to us, not geographically, but globally. So look at the upside, and of course, stay positive. It's very easy to get into the rut of, hey, let's blame foreigners or let's blame so and so. Okay, it's easy to do that, but is it productive? Answer is probably not. So stay positive. Remember, for myself, I always believe Singapore is my home, and Singapore is our home, and even for the foreigners as well who are our guests here. Okay, so we should treat everyone fairly, as everyone is essential to the economy. And as long as the government continues to ensure a playing field, which they've been trying to do since 2011, it's we can't really complain too much. I mean, you can complain a bit, a little bit here and there, but there's a difference between complaining versus being toxic. Okay, so I'm glad no one here has reached that level of toxicity. Okay, I'm glad that the conversations have been civil, and I really love the way that we have all been responding to this threat. And I hope that we can continue being polite, civil, and let's forget about the competition from local-based foreigners. Let's talk about the global competition is up. Okay, so anyway, have a good week ahead. If you have any questions or if you want to share your thoughts, just leave a message. And hoping to see you again next week, but have a great weekend in the meantime. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.